Morning, y'all. It's the crunch, yo. I know we just had Easter and everything. I actually don't remember even seeing any hot cross buns yet at all. Not at all for this year. I don't know what's going on. Nothing sexual technically about that one. But anyway, this one's about travel. I had a little conversation with one of the customers yesterday, talking about mistaken identity and this, that, and the next thing, and identification and or whatever else. And the subject came up about my travel status and stuff like that had happened. And I posted about it in some of my older videos back on some of the other social apps I was on. Not a lot, but just a breakdown of my experience with whatever you call it has happened, is happened, whatever it is. So you can imagine being in school, college, last college, finishing up bachelor's degree after not saying so many attempts, but change programs and change sports, that kind of thing. So I've been to a few different colleges for somewhat the same reason, but for various purposes, I guess you could say. Anyway, the last one I was at FCNH. That's in Florida, like Maitland, Florida. Doing good, doing good, doing good the whole time I was there. Meanwhile, I always been kind of, a good guy, good boy. No legal troubles, nothing like that. Anywhere. In the Bahamas, I had one attempted speeding ticket. In the States, I had, well, I don't know, you could call it a traffic citation. I think the guy actually gave me a ticket for whatever reason. I don't know. My law class and law classmates, schoolmates, and stuff back in the day said if you get stopped, you have like a 5 mile per hour leeway or whatever else that they technically won't stop you at. But if they see you really, really speeding, then they usually get you. I can't remember if the speed limit at the time was like 45 or 50 miles an hour, whatever it was. At the time, he quote unquote, this guy pulled me over, stopped me. I was carrying my grandfather for surgery in Florida. Came over for a couple of days just to, they sent me to go run him to the surgeon and get his eyes checked or whatever. Might have been doing, I don't know, I think it might have been 2, 3 miles an hour or something like that over whatever the speed limit was at the time. Anyway, yada yada yada. Got the ticket, came back home. Folks said, all right, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it since I wasn't from or living over there. Anyhow, in school over there, this is like 2007 ish, I think it happened. Somehow or other, grading situation got a little shady or whatever. Again, like how it used to be in the past. And there were some other students in the school apparently talking about, they suing this school for discrimination and this, that, and the next thing, partly from their similar experiences with what had been going on, I guess. Anyhow, I noticed one particular week, there was like a stretch of maybe about 2 weeks or so. I noticed the police kind of around the neighborhood for some reason. I got stopped, I think, probably 3 times in a distance of, I don't know, from where I lived to where I got stopped. The furthest stop was maybe, I wouldn't say half a mile, but this was like in a neighborhood. So it was like a kind of big neighborhood. So it wasn't like I was out on the highway or anything like that. So between the school and where I was, to drive to school would take me less than 5 minutes. It was that close. But on average, maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 minutes, because it was literally maybe less than, I'd say in a straight line, it might have been a half a mile, but kind of zigging and zagging, it might have been probably close to a mile, maybe a mile and a half, it seemed at the most. Not too far. I used to ride my bicycle there 15 minutes or so, there and back, just cruising. Anyhow, got stopped probably 2 or 3 times in the space of maybe 2 weeks for little to no reason. First time, dude pulled me over. You got any flicking weapons of mass destruction in your vehicle? I was like, huh? Anyway, let me go home. I know I'd seen that dude inside the school building for whatever reason, not too long before the first started, stop started. Next time, going to school one morning, stop at the red light. I see the car in the back of me. Stop, turn around, head over. Oh, we saw you. You didn't stop on the stop sign. I was like, I know I stopped because I felt the car pull forward when I hit the brakes. Let me go anyhow. Last time, anyway, I riding around the neighborhood, hanging out by one of the neighbors around the corner on the bicycle one night. Got pulled over anyway on the bicycle. Oh, you don't have your lights on the bicycle in a, I guess, not a totally private neighborhood, but a neighborhood, not like on the streets. Once again, sitting there waiting as if they trying to catch somebody doing something illegal. Make a long story short, got pulled in, whatever charge, whatever charge. No arrest form signed. Told the lady at the place, at the jail, whatever they book you in, hey, this isn't signed. Told the lawyer when I got out the next morning or evening, whatever, when I finally got to him, probably a couple of days or whatever later, hey, this arrest form wasn't signed. Don't ask me how I only spend one night in jail on a weekend and come home like what, Saturday night or Sunday morning, whatever else. And the mailbox could barely close from all the lawyer pamphlets and brochures inside of there on a weekend. Like this, anyway, anyhow. Speeding up the story, ended up somehow or other going through court system, whatever. This supposed to happen, that's supposed to happen, didn't quite happen, next didn't quite happen. House arrest, something like house arrest, probation, community service, or whatever. They let me finish school, which I said that's the pretty much kind of the only sort of cool thing about it. Restricted all my movement to say, being able to move around and maybe enjoy the place or whatever else. As if I was some kind of, like serious like criminal, no criminal history here, there, anywhere. Now, I was told, sometimes as an international person, regardless of, your status, sometimes they try and quote unquote may lose you in the system or try and deport you without your folks or whatever being able to access you or locate you. Just so happens I just live right across the pond, Bahamas. Anyway, going to one of my probation meetings, I get snatched up by who says they ICE or immigration people taken to immigration. This after school completed and everything. Now, mind you, while I was on house arrest, was totally restricted. I had to itemize every single place I went and get it approved like a week at a time, and then at one point on probation, I think it was like a month at a time. If I wanted to go, like say, out of the county, I couldn't leave the county without, like, I guess permission, something like that. Or I could leave the county, but there's like no, I didn't even have curfew. I had curfew, which they said, don't be out all night. It's no real curfew, but try keep it decent. No, staying over this, that's whatever the whole night. If you happen to do it, don't make it happen. Anyway, long story short, that wasn't the issue. Got home, well, got to detention anyhow. In the court case, I noticed while my first court case was going on, my lawyers at the time was like, well, I'd never spoken to him, but dude said, I guess, assistant attorney from his firm or something like that to deal with the matter at the first case when I actually went in. It was only one time I went to that court. And all he said was, don't worry about what anybody says, just when the judge says whatever it is, just say yes. Now, I didn't hear a word the judge was saying or the prosecutor because for some reason at the moment I stood up and went up to the thing, the court just got real loud. People started talking and this, that, and the next thing, all kinds of stuff. I could literally not hear a word she said or what the prosecutor said. So that was kind of unnerving to me considering what I was told. Being nervous, my first quote unquote, or only quote unquote, I guess, legal situation like that where I'm supposedly in court as, the wrong guy, bad guy, or whatever else. I was kind of nervous, so I was like, well, nobody else there. I pray about it, and God said, yeah, go ahead, just do what they say. The guy said, just say yes, so just say yeah. Anyhow, bang, bang, ding, ding, this or whatever. Got the community service, get through all of that. Halfway through my probation, or almost all the way through my probation. Got snatched up, put in immigration. Come to find out, in immigration at Chrome, there's an actual immigration, like federal immigration court, which technically, federal court is over county court, or I guess, or the other court that they had me in. Learning experience. And as I show up in court, they go in there and they say this, that, and the next thing, or whatever, who you are, that's what you're there for, and everything. Just so happens, it turns out the exact same prosecutor from my first case happened to be the exact same prosecutor somehow for the immigration case. I don't know if that's strange or not, but I'm pretty sure they got more than one prosecutor in the state of Florida. How I get assigned the exact same prosecutor for an immigration case as well as a criminal case, I don't know. If that sounds strange to anybody else, then I guess it is strange. I just happened to notice, hey, this guy looks familiar. Then by the time I guess we was done, I was like, that's the exact same guy. Anyhow, prosecutor asked the judge, says, "Oh, what's Mr. Lewis in here for?" Prosecutor looking through his paperwork and stuff, and he kind of, I don't know, whatever he was going on, he like seemed shocked or whatever. Anyways, like, Your Honor, we don't know why he's in the immigration. He hasn't done anything wrong. We don't see where he's done anything wrong. Well, that's probably because from immigration side, whilst I was on probation, I had completed school, so you get your STEM extension, which was like a year and a half to to work if you were able to find work in your area of study, which was what I did: natural health, spa management, massage, and stuff like that. So I had just actually before that got signed up. Conveniently, God fixed it. So, well, I don't want to say it like that, but my aunt, who I was living with at the time, she was already old, so she got put into an old folks home. And the people there said that, yeah, we'll take you on, we'll hire you to do whatever kind of maybe therapy or some kind of something there related to what I was doing. Fine, no problem. Wrote that in the letter to the judge because my passport was expiring. My student visa had expired because I had only gotten a year extension while I was over there. That was approved just to complete the addition to the course that I guess added on because I didn't really initially go over there to do a bachelor's program, only the associates. But since they started the bachelor's program, folks at graduation was like, well, yeah, just go ahead and finish your bachelor's while it's there one time, just get it over with. Okay, cool. So they had to approve my visa from the school in Maitland. So got the approval, started on, it was only a year, like exactly a year. So when that was over, my travel visa was still actually good for a while, but my passport was expired from, like, I guess, I don't know, 2008 or so. I had kind of needed a new passport. Wrote the judge from the original case, hey, I know you have me on this house arrest or probation or whatever else, and I've, not supposed to really be traveling without permission, but can I go and get my visa sorted out home and then come back and finish whatever probation, whatever? It's me still thinking I'm, totally, well, not wrong. I mean, I knew this, not signing the thing technically meant that I wasn't supposed to be prosecuted anyhow, especially since I brought it to the lawyer and the arresting or booking officer's attention. But anyhow, that's besides the point. Strange thing is, upon getting there and I say this is the federal court, them tell me when they stand me up, oh, you can tell the judge in the federal court, the situation, and then if they'll deal with it, I guess. However, my thing is, if the judge and the prosecutor, as far as I know, they work for the U.S. government. I mean, kind of as I wouldn't say a team, but they know what the laws are and stuff like that. As far as I know, that you can't get to be a judge. They don't just pull draw straws to say, okay, who's gonna go up there and tell people what's right and wrong. I know these people been to school and been some lawyers or is it police or whatever else, so they know the law. So when the guy prosecutor tells the judge, Your Honor, we don't know what he's done. We haven't seen anything that says that he's done anything, and I guess he's looking at the lawyer. I wrote the judge to ask if I could go home, which he, denied, saying, no, you can't go get your visa, passport sorted out. So it's not that I didn't want to be over there wrong. My visa was still good. The passport was the problem. So that was that. That wasn't a problem for immigration because my visa was approved. Even if it was the student visa, once that shut down, yeah, it was supposed to be only 6 months. But if I was to leave, I'd have definitely been some, maybe classed as some kind of a fugitive or something like that, which would make probably matters worse if I had, say, tried to sneak out of the country or whatever else. I kind of like it over there, so what's the point of me trying to mess that up? Especially if I was getting ready to, go into sports or whatever else. I was looking at getting my knee surgery and stuff while I was over there. So I went to get that checked out in the meantime to see what my knee status was. Whole time I was in a knee brace the whole time I was over there. 4 years in a knee brace. Still able to run around and stuff, but not, 100% with a totally torn ACL. You can't even 100% with a torn ACL, no matter what sport you're trying to play. So I looked at getting that, and I'm saying if I get to go home, I'm just going to go home, probably get my knee patched up if possible, then turn around and come right back. Somehow the judge doesn't say, okay, yo, Mr. Lewis, we see you haven't really done anything wrong or whatever else. And it was the same prosecutor. So when he says he doesn't see what I'd done wrong, as far as I know, he's talking about the original case as well, considering I made a mention, like I said, thing wasn't signed. Why is it the judge didn't turn around and say, okay, Mr. Lewis, you're free to go, or point me back to my aunt's house, or take me back to my aunt's house, or whatever else? And let me go on about what I guess I was going to be going on about. Go home, get into whatever, finish school, or start working where the place I said I was going to start working, and work it out from there. Somehow he lets the lawyer, who I actually chose, jump up and say, no, Your Honor, he needs to go home. He wants to go home and go and check on his sick father or whatever. I hadn't spoken to the lawyer about that at all. I didn't tell anybody. And nobody I knew from home, because I spoke to folks while I was in the immigration place on the phone. Nobody said anything about any being sick. Anyone being sick can come home and find out that nobody was sick. So, hmm, that's a long slide down. I guess with the water slides, where they actually push the water on the slide, so you actually have help going down into the pool. That's kind of how that one kind of felt. Everything that was supposed to go right, well, the majority of what was supposed to go right, as far as I know, went left. Now, on the way back, as I say, I don't know what he's talking about, but since some of my family members over there, they say we couldn't speak to them whilst we was in court, so I couldn't verify the information. The judge says, Your Honor, we don't know what's going on. Would you like your mother to say anything or anything like that? In my mind, it's like, what does she need to say if the prosecutor just told you there was nothing wrong or he hadn't done anything wrong, and they don't even know why I was even in there in the system being held at all? So, what? My mommy ain't no lawyer. She was a teacher in the Bahamas. So was I know status this, that, and the next thing, but I long forgot about certain statuses or something like that, because I never technically, far as I concerned, live actually like that totally, hardly at all, if at all, to even remember there's supposed to be some kind of status this, that, or whatever. Anyhow, why would she need to make a comment or have anything to say or need to say anything? She wasn't in Chrome in immigration. But anyhow, out of me being, oh, Mr. Nice Guy, son, oh, let me see what's going on with at home at the old manor, if anything. And say I was told that the lawyer said I would sign a voluntary deportation or something like that. Now, why is that necessary anyhow if I'm already sounding like I ain't supposed to be in there and knowing I ain't supposed to be in there and free to go? Why would I have to sign or need to sign some kind of voluntary deportation when I could just free to go? Just go and check out whatever has to be checked out and come back when whatever is whatever. Anyhow, like I say, naive, not knowing what to do, still a little nervous and this, that, and the next thing, thinking whatever else. Decided to say, okay, I'll sign the voluntary thing, which the immigration people in the thing, when they brought me the form to sign back in the detention place, said, okay, don't worry, you'll be able to come back after 3 months. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, 3 months time. I guess there's probably some paperwork to be filed or whatever, saying that whatever happened with the case was whatever happened with the case, and then to go home and whatever time it would take to get my passport, which is I think around here usually like 2 to 3 weeks or something like that to get your passport done. Then to get your visa appointment, however long that takes, it seems now it takes maybe a couple of days. If you're not going to school, I guess it takes, maybe a bit longer because the schools, I guess maybe expedite your stuff if you trying to rush off to school. So the time to get the passport, get the new visa, I don't know, check on whoever, and come back and go to work. That was, I guess she estimated, or maybe that's just the standard time for that kind of documentation or filing or procedure. That's 3 months. I was like, okay, well, no problem. Still wondering why I just ain't able to just free and just go and go home or back to my aunt's house, or whatever. But anyhow, chalk that one up to inexperience, naivety, or whatever. Now the glitch is coming back to file for a new passport. Somehow they changed somehow the system, so you can't just put the name that you've been using, whatever else. Now they require a birth certificate name. What it says on the birth certificate is what you have to put on all the, I guess, legal documents here now. If not, you can't. You have to go through some kind of expensive procedure to have a name change. Meanwhile, in my life, I probably had maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 passports since birth, each of which having a different name. My name is Nigel Audley Lewis. Uh, from a baby, there's been things on my passport like Master Nigel, Master and Audley Lewis. And by the time I turned 18, I put Junior on my name. So one of my more recent passports before, or whilst I was away, had Junior on it. Before, I guess, that supposed birth certificate thing was required. However, if they want to claim that it wasn't required before, that was required from before, how would that be the case since my folks is like some, legal, law-abiding type folks and stuff like that? How is it that if that was a requirement, they would have all those different things on my passports before I actually put the junior on there instead of just the plain NAL? Now, I called bullshit from long time ago for whatever reason. I know, and I was trying to get my stuff to go to school the first time. Well, the last time I had to go and get that birth certificate and stuff or whatever else for other documents and stuff like that. And I remember they wouldn't let me see my original. Now I can't remember my birth certificate, the original what it said. I was kind of thinking it said junior, but whatever it said, the second or whatever it was just the plain Nigel Audley Lewis on the thing. Now I thought that was strange that they wouldn't let me see it, like it was some kind of something going on. It's like, oh, it's like high top secret and stuff like that. If it's mine and I'm me, and you all clearly know I am, how come I can't not say take a copy, just look at it, just hold it up, let me see it, what it actually says, so I could know what it actually says. No, we can't let you see it. That's not the next thing. Okay, no problem. Heading off to school, somehow or other, mysteriously get called for jury duty like a month before I go off to school. It's like, huh? How that has happened? Kind of lottery does y'all playing here with looking people's names and whatever else. Anyhow, I had to go in there and tell the people in the court, hey, I'm going off to school, show them my school stuff. It's like, okay, no problem, you could go. Got over here, went through what happened, came back, applying for the visa now. Okay, your passport. They didn't say all of this, mind you, by the way, when you go there. They kind of limit the, I guess, conversation just by not being able to allow you to explain anything or asking important questions as if there is some kind of question or query to have it cleared up. They more or less going, oh, you've been deported and had some kind of arrest. Now, if they had given me 1 minute to say, oh, it was a voluntary departure, means I didn't have to do it. I was, told to come home or that I could come home. So I came home on my own free will. Now, They could have also looked into it and seen if they were to find out that, yeah, whatever the arrest or whatever supposedly was, the same prosecutor was there at the immigration case, and when he told the judge in the higher court that I hadn't done anything wrong, that supersedes the original case. So, with nothing wrong, whether it was a whatever kind of charge or an immigration charge, there was no legal, I guess, arrest on record, no official, immigration, anything. So, if that wasn't the problem, why couldn't they have just said there was another situation that was something going on other than, say, the visa or passport situation? So, plenty of y'all know, especially if y'all Bahamian, when you get a Bahamian passport, I ain't gonna speak for everybody else, but the passports that I've seen, as you get them every 10 years, whatever, they don't carry the same number on them. Whatever your name is, if you change it or not, the number of your passport is not the same. I guess if you go to the States, I don't know, I've only had one official driver's license over there. I don't know if you get a different number every time you renew it or whatever, if you keep the same one. But you get one social security number over there, which is like their national, I guess, identification number. So when I first went off to school, on the passport that had Junior on it, that's when I got my social security number. So my social security stuff is all tangled up. Whatever associated with that over there is all tangled up with the Junior on it in the States. So if their system changed from the time I got my last passport or before I got my last, or while I had my passport I was on before I was over there. So I heard they changed some stuff like after 9/11 or this or whatever for identification and whatever. But I hadn't had to renew my passport at that time. So I was still on Junior. Now, come to find out, it kind of seems like they're expecting somebody to show up at the, visa office with the Junior on it. But the passport now doesn't have the Junior on it. Yeah, the birth date and everything the same, pictures the same, this, that, and the next thing. But in their system, the Junior is the one that has the social security number attached to it. So they didn't have to see any of my old passports, which I thought was strange. If there's a problem, let's just clear up the problem here. Why make it a further problem or, delay the situation if there's no situation? Anyhow, a few passport attempts, then it clicked. I paid, and I mentioned this on some other videos before, our passport costs here $50. They charged me for my last two passports $100. And yes, you had to pay in cash, so there's no digital record. And same thing for the visas. Yeah, you have to pay in cash if you pay at the thing because there's no digital record. And at the same time, I had to pay somehow online. So I double paid for like two or three visa appointments and for two passports. Whereas the other half of the money, what happened to who did I pay for? I'm in my mind thinking now somebody then duplicated my stuff. Why would I think so? Call it a coincidence if you want to. But if the lawyer in the states, after he bringing me in and it starts explaining to me, oh, he used to be a former state police and this, that, thing, so he's got a lot of connections and stuff to do, sort this or whatever. So I was like, okay, this sounds like it could be a plus, unless he's just trying to shaft me. Shows me two other Nigel Lewises, all three of us at the time were from the Caribbean. Me from here, and I think there was the other two was like Trinidad or Barbados or two of them other Caribbean countries. One a famous singer, the other guy some kind of I don't know, regular guy. Me no record. The other two with warrants. One for some kind of rape situation or pedophile, some kind of something. The musician dude. The other dude, I guess, was some kind of traffic kind of something. Had a low like fade in the pictures that he showed me. He's like trying to figure out is any of these you? You sure none of these you? I was like, first of all, that clearly you could look at my hair because my hair was just maybe a tiny bit longer than it is now. May have been at the time. So that clearly ain't a fade. Now the birth dates and everything are like the same. March, similar days, by number, and the years I think were maybe the same, except for maybe one of them was like a 75. And all had situations in Florida for some reason and were being looked for at the exact same time. I was being looked for, as what they were saying. Maybe that's why the steakhouse, I guess, around the neighborhood for a couple of weeks or whatever, seemingly may have been about, oh, there's this person, yeah, that's this person's name, but it's not him. Okay, mistaken identity, it happens, but it's kind of too many coincidences from my side. Considering my passport and stuff and other documents when I first went off to boarding school, like in the 90s, some of that stuff went missing, and I had to come home and get some new stuff like national. We have our national insurance number, just like the U.S. Social Security. And I didn't have my past national insurance number memorized, my original one, because I only really used it like when you apply for jobs, and I only had one job that I needed it for at the time, working at at the golf course in the summertime. I remember I had to use it to get the job there. Now I didn't have that memorized. I'd memorized my social security because I thought it was kind of cool having social security, and mine was at the time one of those that you could legally work on. Although you were an international person, you could legally work whilst you were in the States. Maybe you have to be on a certain type of passport or visa status, but I was over there doing work study in school. That's how I got mine the first time. So I got one of those that was highly valuable, I guess, to people if they were, foreigners, if I guess you could say wanted to steal or switch your identity because you could legally work with it. Hadn't put all the pieces to that puzzle together until I guess not too long ago. Started thinking about what's the glitch? Went to my first college. It was another Nigel Lewis still. Didn't think it totally strange, but I didn't think my name was such a common name, considering I'd only known me and supposedly Daddy had the exact same name. Oh well, that was what it was. But problem still is the money I wanted to make in sports is mostly over there. So whilst I was working, yeah, I was gonna go ahead and start going into sports, golf, or I mean mainly golf at that point. I was still thinking of the knees injured. I can't do much else, comfortably, but play a little bit of golf or something like that. I wasn't a basketball person like that. I could play, but 6 feet tall, it wasn't like my dream to be in the NBA. That wasn't my kind of thing. As good as I was, we didn't have no teams for me to play on, so I wasn't focused on that. Track, soccer, football, yeah, that was more my thing. Baseball, I wanted to dabble in a kind of all of them, like how Bo Jackson and was double sport athletes. I wanted to do a couple of different things: table tennis, tennis, whatever. I wanted to play sports year round. Cross training was my thing. Is my thing. Anyhow, so the passport office duplicated something seemingly in my mind. The Visa payment office at Scotiabank, as far as I know, seems like they probably may have duplicated something too. Or if not, why the double cash payments? Anyhow, so if it is the problem now, me applying now for the visa status as a non-criminal, as a non, I guess, what's to say, immigration breacher, because like I said, everything was all straight and legal for me being over there. I haven't gotten into no crimes or nothing like that whilst I've been here either. Still, they've been making a whole lot of money, but still, that ain't illegal. Phones glitch, hack, whatever else, set to call forwarding. So something was going on. So you apply to these places and they won't tell you what's going on, what you to do. You call the government offices and stuff like that, and you get no way to answer. Nobody seems to want to answer the phone. Hardly if you do, you got to go through like a 5 minute process, and it's on a prepaid cell phone from international calling. So them little $10 and $20 I might be able to put on my phone by the time somebody say hello, can I help you? BTC be trying to shut that off real quick before you could get to the point. If you get to talk to somebody, I know. But You can imagine it's a bit unnerving, frustrating even. Pray about it a lot. That's probably why I may seem more calm about it than I guess other people may have been. But it seems like some folks may be just hell bent on having problems from something or somebody that isn't or wasn't a problem. All right. But you could look at my regular routines. It's not that I given up on what I want to do. You could clearly see I'm still working to do whatever sports I can play. Yeah, I gotta go and get my knee probably maybe checked again. But even as of now, if I wanted to still run track, I could do that. The running around sports, soccer and football. Well, I mean, I kind of put football kind of on the back burner unless somebody want a quarterback. But that one kind of fizzled out. Maybe the excitement to want to play that ain't really as there as it used to be. Soccer, I was gonna say that was my retirement sport. I'd run around and play some soccer, maybe in my later years. I ain't totally ruled it out, but kind of feels a lot a bit on that too. Tennis, well, I don't know. I kind of still like tennis. I don't really play it now, but table tennis, yeah, for sure. Golf, yeah, for sure. Long drive, yeah, why not? Swimming, I ain't against it. Volleyball, well, if the knee says yeah, I like some beach volleyball. I actually played one pro or semi-pro beach volleyball tournament way back in the day here. So that ain't ruled out either. But if the problem is when I go to the passport office, they're expecting to see somebody with the passport name matching up to the social security number that has a certain name on it, then I guess that's probably the problem. Try to reach out to the passport folks here at the place saying, "Oh, yeah, you have to go and get an affidavit done if you want to change your name." It's like, change my name. Why don't I just bring in my old passports and y'all look up the original documents that when my parents used to file my passport information, used to use then when it had the different prefixes or suffixes on it. Wouldn't that be easier or simpler? Why change the law when I'm away and can't get back there to do anything about it? Or to adjust it so that the stuff that I'm attached to over there won't be quote unquote statutorily inaccessible because I can't get over there to do whatever I have to do or claim or whatever else. Hmm. But I don't know. Stuff happens. Last visa appointment, I watched a woman actually switch my picture because I gave her my passport had just a couple of pictures in it, some of the older ones, and she decided to use an older one, and I gave her the new one. She said no, she likes this one better. I was like, that's not the new one, but I mean, I was thinking you have to have a 6 months pass thing. You can't get a visa appointment within. I think you gotta wait 6 months. So she switched the picture right there in front of me. And next thing I know, the woman at the interview window was asking me about questions from like 20 years ago. You're such and such. Yeah. You do this and this. I have. It's like that's not on my application currently. But why are you asking about, stuff from like seemingly 20 years ago that was on a approved visa? I, I don't know. Yeah, but that's what they're doing, or that's what's happened. So I know Trump saying supposedly you can't go by YouTube all the time. Oh, all the illegals, all the illegals, all the illegals. Okay, fine, all the illegals, their laws is laws. But what about the legals? Or what about this legal? I can remember the majority of the people, if not all of the people who I'd been around, even if they didn't know me like that, seemed to like me. Yeah, people have their personal preferences and grudges and whatever else, but on a personal level, I didn't consider myself to have no enemies like that over there, like at all. So I mean, yeah, you got your race and some kind of stuff, but I've been to school mostly around white folks over there, so if they were supposed to be some problems, I figured it'd have probably been from them, if anybody. And if they wasn't having no issues and nothing like that, I I don't know what's the frig, what's the problem, but seems like it's from more on this side. Somebody had some secrets. It wasn't me, but there's three, including myself in Orlando. Another one at the first college also was in Florida, St. Leo, and I knew nothing about any of them. All around the same age. I think even some of them still might have been even the same birthday. I can't remember the other dude what his birth date was, but I know he was a 75, 1975. I'm 76. But he's from over there. The other two from the Caribbean. Somebody just pointed out, oh, it's such and such by another name live right around the street on one of my, delivery routes. I was like, really? Anyway, there's too much of me is that ain't me is. So now I have to go back and reapply for the visa again after being told, oh, 3 months, and then experiencing the problems associated with whatever else. Why hasn't that been cleared up to what my last appointment was last year, like August or October or something like that? I've been home 15 years, going on 16 years. How come that hasn't been sorted out and cleared out if it was supposed to only be 6 months? Or if I was supposed to just be, okay, you're free to go, hasn't done anything wrong from then. Lawyers don't want to answer the phone to take the case. Oh, we can't have that kind of case calling everybody. Oh, you need to check an immigration lawyer for an immigration problem that isn't a problem or isn't supposed to have been a problem. Uh, huh? I guess when you don't have a lot of money, people try and use the system against you or get into the system to try and use the system against you. Seemingly, that's kind of what it is. Like them girls on Soul Plane. Oh, we feds now. We get to violate all your civil rights or something like that. I forget what it was they said. Drop it, Denzel. Now you got the fumes and stuff like that, so you got to take off your clothes and go sit down in the sun. It's not like legal rape. You gotta walk around these places with the fumes that they used to kill people over, and they used to release them in the trains and stuff like that. I remember when they first started talking about that shit in the States. So nerve gas release and people dying and getting sick or whatever else. And people used to get arrested, sometimes killed on, shot on the scene or whatever else. These people all about freely with it. And knowing the reset is to go and strip down in the sun someplace and lay out where people could see you. They got that many rapists around you. Uh, they just let people be. They just naturally walk around just, bareback and stuff like that all the time. And if y'all want to peek, you could freaking just ask, can I see your abs? That's all it is. Y'all just want to see abs. I walk around my yard when I was living on most of the time bareback. If you want to see it, make an appointment. If it's that important, all around the place fuming, getting people trying to strip. That's what it is. Yeah, all really some nauseous kind of. Anyway, anyhow, I got my school visa appointment soon as this approved. Check it out, see what's going on, get back into school, finish this. Well, it's a new program anyway. I would have taken it up if I'd stayed over there. I found a place to do the course and stuff like that. Actually traveling to do what you call it, not a term paper, but it technically was a term paper. I had to go like a research and stuff like that. Go check out Daytona, and put together like a business plan, for what I want to do, spa and business, that and the next thing. I know who like to ask me them kind of questions. And I know why they've been acting the way they've been acting because, anyway, long story short, about to reapply. Hopefully by now they didn't sort it out, whatever they have to sort out. Because ordinarily, if you actually are deported, sometimes they say you got to wait 10 years to reapply. Sometimes they say you got to wait 20 years to reapply. And then if they're totally banned, you should probably know that by some type of document or being told so from the beginning. But to be told you can come back within 3 months when there wasn't an immigration situation or a criminal situation based on the prosecutor from both cases saying so, it seems like some kind of bullshit about it. But anyway, I'm going to ahead and apply. I'm wondering if I should just go ahead and apply to the school first, waiting for their response to see what they say about scholarship info and this, that, and the next thing, work study and stuff. And once that's approved, or should I just go ahead and get the visa first, or time it this time so I don't actually have to go through the overlap where the passport shut down like halfway through the program or just about to the end of the program and have to come back and get it sorted out. That's how my two, I think the last two passports may be before the last one. So those was all timed, I think close to around the same time, if it wasn't the exact same time. Anyway, to maximize it, I guess it's probably best to just go ahead and maybe have them redo it. And hopefully, if I have to put the JR back on my name to be associated with the social number, I probably have to go ahead and maybe do it that way. But I don't know. This my driver's license over there and everything. I can't remember if it had junior on it or not either. But I'll try and get to the bottom of it. Maybe somebody else will answer a phone and say, okay, you need to do this, that, and the next thing. Oh, that's what's happened. I can't be the only person that knows all of this. So the feds and feds, they probably know more explicit or, detailed info as to what the glitches or what the glitches have been or who's been glitching and why they've been glitching. I guess ain't nobody been saying nothing to me, not even family, especially not over there. For some people, it's hard to get people to want to talk or answer the phones. Now, I don't know if that's because the phone's just being blocked and rerouted for calls going out also, but there seems to be one Filipino sounding woman seem to be answering a whole lot of business calls and lawyer calls. I'm saying now all the people in the U.S. law offices can't all be Filipino. That's sounding anyway. I know one or two of them out their accents are this kind of hard to to mistake it once you've heard it for a little bit. This one Filipino is that seem to own all these things over there, or the international answering service for all these different law firms all across the U.S. The same one person answering the phone, seemingly. Even Walmart and Amazon answering all their calls. That's wild and strange. And I only know two Filipino people. Well, hold on, that I've been around at all, other than say back in golf days. I guess you could say three people that I've actually interacted with that I know to be Filipino. I don't think it was them because this person sounded kind of young. But anyhow, like they say, wish me luck. It ain't gonna be third time's the charm. I'm just trying to figure out when they're gonna say, okay, come over or send my visa or whatever else, because I didn't pay what for like six of them. If they done double charge me digitally and in cash, I'm coming over there as one me, not with two or three different passports and like flicking split up bodies like you always see in them movies where they split into different identities. Who remember what movie that was? This can be the same me that's always been me, and I'm coming over there to me. Scholastically, yeah, I want to get those programs under my belt so I can start going in a different direction because fitness hasn't been, other than for doing it for myself, lucrative really at all. So that stuff they telling you back in the day, oh, you can make 50, 60,000 a year easy and stuff like that doing fitness. That was the case 20 years ago, 25 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago. But if you don't have an in at a gym where you actually can get it and train regularly and say maybe get some clients and your phone ain't ringing, you ain't no personal trainer. You are a model, is more or less. It's not needed like how it was back in the day. You got so much stuff online. Personal training is kind of done. So something more conventional, massage even hasn't been all that lucrative at all. The phone ain't ringing, it ain't ringing. The calls ain't going through. Still, just like the mail. Oh, you can't mail stuff out of the country anymore. Okay. So there is a glitch. Apparently, a really big one, or some really big ones, or maybe a lot of little ones. I don't know, but there's definitely at least a glitch. So work with you, man. Yo, I don't know what the big secret needs to be or has to be, but got me waiting, anticipating. Anyway, control.